Shaky, 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 shaky. You ever get a bottle of Snapple or some kind of tea, and you have all that residue on the bottom of it, and you just have to, first of all, you have to pop the cap and open it so some air can get in. That way you have enough room to shake it around so you get all that residue mixed in. Yeah. So that's what all that ruckus was. So I'm sorry if it scared you, but I just needed that residue to get off. I'm drinking a Snapple peach tea. Let me see. No bubbles? No bubbles? No bubbles? Lovely. Anyways, good evening, everyone. Welcome to JV's 12 in the Morning Rants. I'm, of course, JV, wearing a hoodie, and it's hot in here. I don't want to wear this no more. Taking this thing off. It's making me sweaty, gross. Take away my lack of performance. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're doing good. Hope everyone's doing well. And if you're not doing well and you come here to, find some kind of enjoyment or some case of, escapism, I hope I can provide that for you tonight, whenever you give me a listen. Doesn't really matter. Either way, I appreciate it. Before I get into the real meat and potatoes of this, which is probably going to be a big majority of this conversation today, on one hand, I was wanting to jump on that Gabby Petiti story, but like I said, I don't know, maybe I should just jump on it, but I'm not going to. But I keep on getting this feeling that as soon as I put one of these out, all of a sudden some new information is going to come out, then I'm going to have to do a big old update, and then it's going to be like, oh, God, now I have... Because there's plenty of YouTube videos out there about Gabby Petiti and the family and the dirty laundries and all that. I just wanted to... I was hoping that, cross my fingers, praying that it will be over soon. That way I can just, take all the little events, cliff notes, give you my own opinion on it, which is probably not very different from most people, unless your name is Joy Reid, then you go fuck yourself. Otherwise, yeah, I think we're all pretty much on the same page. So there's not much to say. I would just go on YouTube and, look up videos. If you want to look up, like, a really good channel, especially on YouTube, I would look up Popcorn Planet. They usually do, like, a live stream Monday through Friday with updates on the Gabby Petiti story and the family and all that. So, fun watch for you guys to go into, if you really want to get into the nit and gritty of all that stuff. And then, on another note, today I'm recording this is a Wednesday, which means I'll post this, tonight so it'll be coming on Thursday. But by the time you guys listen to this, if you listen to it on the day I upload it, only one day until Metroid Dread comes out, and I'm so excited. And is also the release date of the new Nintendo Switch. Was it like the Switch Audi or something like that? Which, from what I hear, it only really benefits you if you go into portable mode. If you keep your Switch on docks, then people say, forget about it, don't even bother. Because most of the improvements come from, the Switch portable itself. When you take it off the docks, walk around it, and the screen's bigger, and I get the little stand for it is like not a toothpick, so it actually works better. So just like with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the release of this game coincides with the release of a quote-unquote new Nintendo console. Just a kind of beefed up. From what I heard, there's not really any graphical updates, and if they are, they're very slight updates. I don't think it supports like 4 or 5K or anything like that. But whatever the case, I don't care. I only care for Metroid Dread. And you bet your ass once that game comes out, I'm going to be getting into it. I didn't want to, but I looked up a couple of reviews. 2 reviews. And I gotta tell you, the neighbors are here. You're so loud. Would you mind, please? Trying to talk to people about shit. Okay, I think they're gone now. But yes, I looked up a couple of reviews. And, one of the reviews, the dude came out, he said he loved this game. Promising. And then I think IGN at this point, they put out their review, and they gave it a 9 out of 10, which is really good. Maybe it's just me, but something about it being like the perfect game would seem a little like sus. I'm not sure suspicious, but I don't know. It's just like, but then again, if like everyone's saying it, but I don't know. It made me excited. It makes me so fucking excited. Most common thing I hear, at least what I heard from both, is that while not exactly ready to say it's the best 2D Metroid ever made, it's definitely in the talkings, which, if you know me, I pretty much love all the 2D Metroid games. In fact, I think I do. If I don't love them all, I at the very least really like them all. Even the first 2 games that, I think are very primitive and are kind of seen as obsolete since they both got superior remakes, in my opinion. But it's still nice to go back and, see where the Metroid series started from. And yeah, I still think they're fun in their own way. There's a charm to them. But that's not what we're here about today, son. The big thing that I really wanted to talk about, the big thing I wanted to talk about, is that yesterday, I was looking on Facebook. This is a day after the whole shutdown thing, and everyone conspiracizes why Facebook wasn't working. What was it? They all got locked out of their own building. They couldn't. Their badges wouldn't work. Like, oh my god, that was weird. And a quick note on the whole Facebook, Instagram shutdown thing. It's so funny because I believe everyone. Well, I was working at the time, so it didn't really affect me. But I honestly, because what happened? I realized it because I was trying to go on Pokemon Go, and it wasn't working. And like, that's weird. So I tried going on Facebook and Instagram, and they wouldn't like refresh or update or anything like that. I'm like, that's weird. And I even turned off my little Wi-Fi because usually that helps, because we're the hospital where it's kind of a hot spot. Sometimes the service there sucks complete balls. So I turned off the Wi-Fi. Didn't work. So that's weird. But other things still worked. My YouTube still worked fine. My Snapchat still worked fine. It's just these two specifically that aren't working. That's weird. Anyways, I'm moving on. Then it turns out it was like shut down for a long time. Everyone was freaking out. And then Mark Zuckerberg lost damn near $7 billion in that short amount of time. Because, he makes all of his money off of ads. But yeah, he lost all that money. That poor man lost all that money. I feel so bad for him. So bad. Anyways, I thought it was funny. I thought it was a nice break. But, especially after it came back up, I love seeing the memes that, followed through with it. Or followed afterwards. They made me laugh. But after they came back online, I started seeing articles on Facebook about Dave Chappelle being in hot water. And what is Dave Chappelle in hot water for? And then I see in Dave Chappelle's new Netflix stand-up special, The Closer, I was like, oh shit. There's a new stand-up special from Mr. David Chappelle on Netflix, and one of the things being said about this special is that it's controversial. Oh, it's gonna be fucking good. It's gonna be fucking good. Every time we get to the song and dance and it's controversial, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And I didn't know about this before we get into the special. I was watching this other YouTube channel called The Quartering, and I think he was talking about Bill Burr was talking about how he was kind of, for a little point, censoring himself. Which I think that means just, Bill just dodging certain topics and things. Didn't want to talk about, didn't want the controversy. And then it said that he stopped doing that after he had a little talk with him. David Chappelle's telling him to don't do that shit. Do not let them win. Do not let them stop you from talking about what you want. Hey, if there's a controversial topic and you don't want to talk about it just because you don't have anything interesting to say or you're just not interested, then fine. Don't talk about it. But don't fucking let them silence you. Don't let them bullying you to not talk about something on your special that you want to talk about. Because Bill Burr, man, he probably still is one of my favorite stand-up comics these days. But I think I do know what period of time, or I'm just speculating, I don't actually know, but there was a period of time where it seemed like Bill was a little bit more tame than usual. But according to Bill he's not doing that no more. So that makes me really look forward to Bill Burr's next special. now that he's taken the leash off of himself and he's going to start, cutting deep again. What was his last special? Was it, I want to say it was Paper Tiger. But was it really? I don't fucking remember. But anyways, Dave Chappelle, what I first like about this special, I'll say right off the bat, it's called The Closer. And in what this is a reference to, Dave Chappelle made this deal with Netflix. Shit, I don't even remember when that first special came out. But he made this deal with Netflix. He'd make I think it was like 6 stand-up specials for them. And then he'd make a amount of money. Which he did. This is his 6th stand-up special. His first stand-ups, or his first couple that came out, came in packs. Like the first one came in 2, and then the second one came in 2. But then Sticks and Stones, and then this one came in just the one stand-up special. There isn't like a secret special hidden in any of these. Which is fine, because I think all of these have been great. If I was going to look at the main specials and not like the secret stand-up specials, I think if I was going to rate these, I'd say his second stand-up special that he came out with was probably my least favorite. It's not terrible, just my least. I'd probably put this one at number 3. His first one he came out with as number 2, and I still think Sticks and Stones is my favorite. Or Sticks and Stones and his first one he came back with, they can switch back and forth. But I think importance on when he came out with when he came out with Sticks and Stones was very important. I can't remember the other specials' names for some reason. Besides Killing Them Softly, that one's just out of this world. But I will say, Sticks and Stones, when it came out, it was such a crucial time because it felt like people were more scared and more offended and more just ready to just charge at you for even attempting to talk about them. Because keep in mind, even in that first stand-up special that he did when he came back, which I believe won him an Emmy, even then he was getting trouble from, a certain community of people, maybe you know them, for making a certain joke about a certain type of person in that community. Maybe. And this is one thing I liked about The Closer, because, it's a reference to, his last stand-up special, required for him to make on Netflix. And Dave has already said that he wants to keep making more and more and more, so he obviously hasn't lost his passion. It's just, this certain deal with Netflix is over. What happens from here, where stand-up specials are going to show up, we're yet to see. Maybe they'll sign a new contract with Netflix and they'll keep this ball going and going. But I don't know. I feel like maybe Dave will try to do something else. But as far as censoring them, they seem to be treating them well. Even after all the controversy with fucking all of those specials, especially with Sticks and Stones and now with this one, it seems like they're just, alright, keep it coming. I mean, Netflix is definitely not foreign to getting comments about being very controversial. Even in ways where it's got me a little shook on how risque the platform is willing to get. Oh boy. But hey, in the case of this, where David can just go on and make jokes about anything and anyone, great. There is good that comes out of that. Oh boy. But one of my favorite things about this special is that in a lot of ways, well, he opens it up. I like the way he opens it up. First of all, he says this is going to be a live special for a minute. You know, my Netflix deal is, you know, coming to a close. So, you know, going to take a break. He didn't say a long break. He said just for a minute. So maybe a year or so, he'll come back, sign a new deal with somebody else, or maybe Netflix again. And, you know, start doing their specials. Because he has definitely not lost his comedic punch. And one thing, I keep on saying this, but it's because I need to get to this. One of my favorite things about this is that it really does feel like the closure. The closer is such a great name because it feels like you get so much closure from some of the more, you know, some of the other stand-up specials. Like, he'll bring back, you know, something he said from, obviously, the LGBTQ community. He'll bring up jokes that he brought up in that one. And then he'll bring something up that he said in Sticks and Stones. And he even said that he even took a direct quote. Wait, I think it was the first stand-up special. I think he was talking to that community where he was just like, I like what you guys are doing, but I don't like the way you guys are going about it. And then he brings that up here where he's like, hey, you guys know that I support and love you. You guys remember that's the last special I said this? Guess what? I still feel the same way right now. I didn't change. You guys did. Or you guys are just paying me in a way that makes me look like a shitty person. It just makes me look stupid. But keep this in mind. Even though out of the 4, at least like the main 4 specials out of this, it's only like quote unquote number 3, it's still David Chappelle. He's funny as hell. I only really ranked like the 4 of these the way that I did because as far as like comedic purpose, because, you know, end of the day, it's still stand-up special for comedy. And I don't mind saying it. There were some parts here and there where he was building certain jokes. They wouldn't hit as hard. I wouldn't laugh as much. Or just like, okay, that was alright. But every once in a while, there would be that joke where I didn't think the premise was that funny. It's like, okay, well, that's cool, whatever. But then he just slap you with that punchline. I wish I could remember the joke. But there was this one joke where the build up to it, I wasn't really feeling it, but then he hits you with that punchline, and it's just like, whew! Alright. You won me. You got me. And there were a couple controversial jokes, you know, on the lead up. It was funny too. When the special first starts, you know, it gets a little sweeping shot of the crowd, and it shows you a couple angles where you can see some people. There was these 2 women that I saw in the crowd. And I was like, okay, when it gets more controversial, I guarantee you those are going to be the people to look at. They're going to be the ones that get upset. And oh boy, especially with a certain comment and certain thing he says, they were not happy. Oh boy. I need to specify this right meow. I need to express this shit right the fuck now. So y'all better listen to this shit. Before we get into this, I highly encourage you, not just the special. I say go watch all the specials. I mean, you don't have to. If you want, just for preparation for this. I would encourage, like, I honestly thought about just sitting here, pressing record, and then just letting Dave tell his jokes, and I would just throw commentary in here and there, but I'm not super familiar in how... I don't know if this platform would be okay with me doing that. And I'm not sure if David Chappelle himself would be okay with me doing that. And he puts out good shit. I don't want to upset the guy. I respect this guy. I respect you, David. I'm not going to try to upset you. I don't want to. I respect your work. All of it. So, I'm going to try not to step on his toes. For now. So yeah, before we get into this, I'd say go watch the special, because for one reason, so you can watch it for yourself, you can get all the jokes in context for yourself, for you to see. Really listen to what he says. Really listen to what he says. And then, really take in, what he's trying to throw down on you. Big penis. Because I'm not gonna lie. I can't remember this whole special word for word, or even, what joke he started out with, and I kind of remember who he ended it with. But, maybe I should just talk about the controversial part. Because I'm already going pretty long in the tooth in this. And like I said, I encourage you guys to go watch this, but I want to talk about the controversy part, because that's the juicy part. That is the real meat and potatoes of this. So, and that's the whole reason I found out about this special in the first place. So why not talk about this certain part? So of course, I was thinking to myself, he's probably going to throw it somewhere in the middle, whatever, and then have a pretty cool closer. No, he kind of saves the juicy and just the more risque shit for the end. Especially a story about one of his friends, which I'll get into in a second. But like I said, he kind of references the other specials, and he talks about how there's this rapper named The Baby, which I've never heard about. But he got in trouble for saying some things about the community. That Dave Chappelle was like, I've said some shit about that community, but even I was like, damn, you got easy The Baby. And then he threw out this crazy story, which is true. You can look this up for yourself. This rapper, he went to Walmart and killed somebody, and you know what? That did not fuck his life up more than, him talking about the gay community. And even Dave Chappelle was like, I don't want to say... He's like, I support you people, but you guys... He's like, I'm just a little jealous, because, I wish... He's like, more people give... He's like, a black man... Well, he didn't say a black man, but he's like, a black man got killed in a Walmart. He's perfectly fine as far as public perception. He makes one comment about the gay community, canceled. Oh my god. I do remember this one joke. And I kind of thought this is where controversy was going to come from, but I think it got overshadowed by, of course, by the overall. It's like a fucking movie arc, or it's like Dave versus the LGBTQ community, and he battles with them throughout the whole time. But there's this really fucking awesome joke where he's talking about when he got coronavirus, and I remember this. And he's like, well, while I was in quarantine, because they say you have to quarantine for 10 days. Don't I know that? And in the meantime, while I'm watching this, well, first of all, before I get to this part, he's talking about how you get told that you have coronavirus. He's just like the first 3, 4, 5 days, you're just waiting like, oh man, this sickness, oh, it's gonna hurt. Oh, it's gonna be so bad. And then after that, it's just like, I didn't feel shit. I feel nothing. And he's like, I didn't feel no symptoms. I am the Magic Johnson of coronavirus. Which that was a really funny line in itself. But then he leads that with him, in quarantine for 10 days and whatever. And then in the meantime, he's watching these YouTube videos of black people beating up Asian people. And he's like, I'm seeing, one part of, is one of my people beating up the other part of my people. Because Dave is black, and then he's, I forget what kind of Asian, but he's also going out with a Polynesian woman, or not going out, he's married to one. Dumbass. Is it Polynesian? I can't remember. I'm going to have to look that up. So sorry if I got that wrong, but I'm trying to remember this off the... But what I'm saying is, he's seeing all these videos, and he's like, oh man, it just hurts me to see my people hurting my people. And he's like, I'm watching all these videos of black people beating up Asians, and I couldn't help but think to myself, that's what's happening inside my body right now. And it took me a second. And I'm like, oh my God. And then that was the first time in the special, I'm like, oh, is this what Dave is getting in trouble for? He better not. That was a clever joke. That was very clever. That deserved an applause break. Very funny. Good boy. Good grief. But no, that was not what got David in trouble. Mr. Chappelle got in trouble for making more jokes about the community. I'm just going to keep saying the community, because I don't have to keep on saying LGBTQ. So just when you hear me say the community, just so you know, that's what I'm referring to. Because I don't want to keep on tripping over myself saying those letters. The community, they didn't like some of his jokes. And there was this one, and this was a surprising thing for me to hear. Because, Dave is probably the first person, at least in a public setting like this, he talks about J.K. Rowling, and he actually defends her, which is incredible. It's like, holy shit, I didn't expect that at all. He's talking about, I think before this, he, all these trans people and everybody, they're always referring to me as, a TERF, which is shit, I can't remember the acronym, but it's an acronym for something. I think it's basically saying, you're a person that, may not hate us, but you don't accept the fact that, we're as far as biology, a real woman or a real man. I think that's my understanding of what TERF is supposed to mean. He's like, they're calling her TERF and all this stuff, and he's like, you know what? And she would say something like, gender is a fact. And then Dave was like, and I agree. And what's crazy is that Dave comes out. He just straight up starts calling himself like, well, He's just straight up at one point. He's like, there was this transgender woman or somebody giving me a hug, and I'm just, me being transphobic, and I push him away. I'm like, hey, boundaries. Just some which it seems like, I mean, David. What's going on? I mean, it looks like, unfortunately for David, he's found another term that he's trying to kind of make a term of endearment now. He's now trying to take the word back for people, and are like, well, there's this line that David says, he's like, where he's talking about, like, only, like, a biological woman can have a baby. Or I don't remember he says this specifically, but he's basically saying this. He's like, and that thing between your legs, he's like, that vagina you got, it's like, it's like the Impossible Burger of vaginas. It's kind of like it, but it's not really the real thing. And that's not blood, that's beet juice. I was like, oh my god. Okay, I know why he's getting in trouble now. But you know what? In all honesty, if I have to out myself as well, I have to call myself a TERF as well. In that analogy. Because it's like, I feel is very much the same way. And I've never talked about this on here, but he brought it up in his special how Caitlyn Jenner, when Bruce became Caitlyn immediately became Woman of the Year. Caitlyn wasn't even a woman for a year, not for a full calendar year, and they already gave her Woman of the Year. He's like, if I was a woman, I'd be fucking pissed. I don't remember seeing the memes at that time. It's like, you see like a woman looking at a beaker, like a scientist, like this crazy woman athlete doing this and all that. And it's like, no, Caitlyn was, not the first person to go from male to female, keep in mind. I don't even think the first celebrity to go from male to female. Just, I don't know. I don't know why. It's a big old publicity stunt, which is why award shows like that are just bullshit anyway. So take those awards and them winning it for what it is. Just a big old PR publicity stunt, whatever. And the funny thing is, too, I don't know when Dave's recorded this special, but there was that one trans woman that went into, deadlift competition, was a man for like 35 years or something like that, tries to go into the woman's deadlifting, end up failing, by the way, couldn't get the lift. That's kind of what happens when your first 35 years or so is being a fat, lazy man, thinking, oh, now I'm just going to join the women's triathlete and, not pull a muscle or anything. Despite all this, despite going to the Olympics and failing, still getting, like, Woman Athlete of the Year. I was like, the fuck? There's a ton of women that you could probably... I don't watch a whole lot of... I'm not going to lie, I don't watch a lot of women's sports anything, but, I always hear about this shit. But I am sure there is a ton of female athletes that are just like, really? Really? I mean... So I was... That weightlifting competition that she didn't win is like, I won it. Could I get Woman of the Year for do that? No? No. All right. Again, PR. I'm kind of losing sight of the whole Sam special. But yeah, that's what David is basically like. I don't understand it. He's like, in a lot of ways, he's being team woman, but not being team community. And he talked about how, back when, the community was really starting to, come into prominence. He's like, he would always be doing those kind of jokes. He's like, trust me, and I was a lot less friendly about my comments to the community back in the day. And then they would always call me these weird things that I never heard before, like transphobic. It's like, the fuck? And then they would always say something like, quit punching down. And Dave's like, I don't know what that means. But then he basically makes this whole argument where Dave's like, I'm not punching down. Because punching down is, coming from somebody that sees you as, someone that's beneath you. He's like, so I'm punching that line, or I'm punching that level. I don't remember how he phrased it. But if anything, David's punching up. Because, oh boy. But then, following this, for his big closer, he talked about one of his, a friend of his, where he met her mother first, and he talked about this, like this strange encounter where he met this woman at a bar, and she's talking about, my daughter. He's like, my daughter's a big fan. She's doing, in Hollywood, doing all this stuff and everything. And then, the mom shows her a picture, and Dave's like, she's beautiful. And then the mom looked at her disgust, and she's like, she's transgender. And then Dave's like, oh my God. He's like, I couldn't be honest with her because, he's like, I didn't really say what I thought about the picture because I was just being nice. I was like, but then she did that shit to me. He's like, I should have said that shit. I should have said what I was thinking. Something in that regard. And then he said, then he ended up being in a different state, and then that person he saw in the picture, he ended up meeting. He's like, hey, I just met your mama the other day. And I just want to say congratulations, all this shit. And then they end up becoming big friends. End up talking about how Dave Chappelle was a big inspiration for her into going to stand-up. So David was like, he's like, all right, you can be my opener. She ended up bombing. But then, David had her sitting on the crowd, and she's laughing at all these jokes, and then Dave and her started bouncing back and forth, and she has everybody fucking rolling, which is funny, because it seems like his friend she was quick and witty. She was very good at improv from the sounds of it, which doesn't always necessarily mean you're going to be a great joke writer. Which in a lot of ways, I've had this problem too, where it's like, people meet you and you interact with them, and then you can be really funny on your feet like that. But when it comes to writing jokes, it's a totally different monster, and you can tell, especially the way that Dave talked about her, it's like she did not quite have that. She hadn't quite learned how to write a joke. She knew how to be funny, but she didn't know how to, recreate and organically, make funny. You'll see this with, YouTube channels and everything. If you watch people, they'll be joking about something, and then when they try to talk about it in a later tense, it's just like, ha, 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 ha. Well, the first time it was, butt-gustingly funny. Then they try to go back to it, and it just gets a couple ha, 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 a couple pity laughs. Even though, whatever. Anyways, so, but yeah, he said she absolutely bombed, but, when, they were going back and forth while he's on stage and she's just sitting in the front row listening, you know, she's, people are saying shit to her and then she fucking bounces right back. Like, there's this encounter where, some dude, like yells at her. I can't remember her name. I wish I could. I should have wrote her name down somewhere. That way I could remember it. And then the dude was like, "Hey, so and so, does the carpet match the drapes?" And then everyone was like, "Oh," at the crowd that David's talking about. And then he's like, "Oh man, that didn't stop her though. She cocked her head just enough so she can hear him, or he can hear her." She's like, "No, I don't have carpet. I have hardwood floors." And then he's like, the whole room erupted. It's like all of a sudden, everyone is like all that tense energy that was there before, all of a sudden gone. Just that one little snappy comeback, and everyone's on her side again. Or for the first time, I should say. Hey, like I said, she's witty. She knows how to get them comebacks. But unfortunately, the story ends with her end, because she ended up committing suicide by jumping off a building, it sounds like. And then Dave, he throws out this really fucked up joke. He's like, "Now see, that's how I know that she wasn't a real woman. Because no woman would go out with some gangsta ass shit like that." Or only a man would go out with some gangsta ass shit like that. It's like, fucking hell, David. What the fuck? Fucking. And then, in a very kind of touching moment, and this is kind of the reason why this is another reason why I want you to watch this. Because you might not be, if you just listen to audio, you wouldn't be able to pick this up. But watch David's face when he says this very last thing about his fallen friend. Oh my god, that's way more fucked up than I thought it was going to be. That was... fuck. That was not meant to come out like that. Fuck. Jesus. Anyways. Who? Okay. Whoa. So David closes it out. And just look at his face when he's telling this last joke. In her memory. He's like, such a great person. He's like, "I'm going to raise money for her daughter so she can go to college. And I hope I'm still alive when she turns 21 because I want to give her the money myself. And then I'm going to hand her the money and I'm going to tell her, like, I knew your father and she was a wonderful woman." I mean, first of all, he did this on purpose too. He's like, his timing's so great. Because when he says, "I knew your father," he paused long enough to get people to go, like, "Oh, David." And then he says, "He was a wonderful woman." And then that's when everyone laughed. But notice that Dave's face, I don't remember his voice cracks or anything, but you can tell he's red-eyed. If he's not crying, he's really about to. Like, he's just on the verge of crying. So yeah, you can tell that really hit him. And then it ends with, like, kind of the typical thing he's been doing at his specials. And then before that, he makes one last little comment to the community by saying, he's like, "All right, this is the last time I'm going to ever make a joke about the community. Not until I can assure that, that we're both sides are laughing. Basically saying it's like once we can all start laughing with each other, not at each other, then we'll be good. Which is respectable. I respect that. Then it kind of closes there. And has this big old, if you've seen his other specials, you'll see how he closes it out with the credits on the side. On the other side, you'll see pictures of him hanging out with other celebrities and shit. And I remember having this thought. I was like, oh man. It's like, I swear to God, if he ends this little montage with him, with a picture of him and Norm Macdonald, it's like, that might just fuck me up. And surely fucking enough, the last picture, it says, for Norm in the corner. It's a picture of him and Norm Macdonald. And maybe it's just because in hindsight now we knew he had cancer, but I saw this picture of Norm. It's like, dude, his time was coming. His time was coming. He looks sick there. Like, he looks really, like, scary skinny in the face. I don't know. He just did not look good. But like I said, when I did the ranking for, like, the stand-up specials, and this is, like, my third favorite, like I said, as far as comedy goes, it's not my favorite, because I will admit there's a couple jokes where, the premises aren't that funny, or the punchlines aren't that great. There was a couple times where I reached for my phone and was checking something, because it was like, alright, I just gotta wait for this one to go through. But I will say, or it doesn't really make up in comedy. I mean, Dave's pretty good at this too. He's mastered the craft that even when he's not telling a joke, you're still invested. I mean, after I just got done telling you, I was looking at my Facebook when I got bored. But he has the craft of, like, he knows how to tell you a story and you're invested, even though the fact that you're not, he's not telling a joke. And he's not telling a joke. He's telling you a story. He might throw a couple, jabs here and there. But for the most part, he's just telling you a fucking story. This one would definitely be the number one as far as emotion. Like an emotional tug on the heartstrings. At least for me. Because fuck, dude. Between that story and his friend that committed suicide and then that fucking tribute to Norm Macdonald at the very end, it's like, it got me. It got me, I'm not gonna lie. And I know I keep on saying I'm gonna do a fucking tribute to Norm Macdonald, but like I said, I'm trying to get my boy Jose to come over because he was such a huge Norm Macdonald fan. If Norm Macdonald wasn't his favorite, it was one of his favorite stand-up comics of all time, so I thought it'd be cool to get him over and we can just talk about Norm Macdonald, some of our favorite jokes, what he meant for comedy and all this shit. And obviously he meant a whole lot, if even, like, Dave, like, you got all the top comedians, like you have David Letterman, Conan O'Brien, Dave Chappelle, I believe Adam Sandler. You just go on YouTube and just type in comedians talking about Norm and just wait and see all of the fucking people that are just so touched and so inspired by what he did. Like I said, I want to wait for my boy because I would like to talk to him about Norm Macdonald and all of his jokes. And then just find another reason to binge more Norm Macdonald videos. That would be awesome. But yes, that was Dave Chappelle's stand-up special, The Closer, on Netflix. I really liked it. Did I love it? I can't say for certain right now. I will only really know that after repeat watches. Like, I would probably say I felt the same way about Sticks and Stones when I first watched it. Only grew to love it after I watched it a few more times. So, I really liked it. It's up in the air whether I loved it or not. We'll have to see in the passage of time. But yes, I do encourage you to go watch it. This is not for the faint at heart, apparently. But I should really go back into stand-up. I only went up on stage once to do stand-up, and I remember when I did it. Well, okay, quick story time. So anyone that might not know this, but the whole reason I started podcasting in the first place is that me and my cousin Chris and my cousin Matt, we wanted to do a little podcast. Well, Chris was the one that asked the two of us if we wanted to, and then we kind of just made it happen. And then we end up forming MCJ Notorious Talks. Go follow that if you're not already. It's really funny. I need to get the boys back together so we can get that shit started again. Because despite the fact it's been a little while since we haven't recorded, the audience is still fucking growing. Something keeps bringing people into it. So I want us to keep that pony back. I need to get us back on that fucking pony and, watch that thing grow into a beautiful fucking stallion that we're riding into somewhere. I don't know. I had something and I lost it. But anyways, years and years and years ago, back when I was like drinking a lot more, me and Matt, we would hang out in the bars a lot. And we'd always make each other laugh. And then we were always telling each other, dude, you need to do stand-up. It's like, oh, man, dude, you need to do stand-up. It's like, man, if we ever did stand-up and we were to, do a cross tour with each other, like a duet, we'd have to be like White Chocolate or some shit like that. But I remember it was for my 24th birthday? I don't remember which birthday. But I remember I was trying to get Matt to do stand-up. And I've been pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing for him to do it. And it just so happened that the day that they were open and could get stand-up happened to land on my birthday. And I remember telling him, like, you know what I want for my motherfucking birthday? I want you to do stand-up on my fucking birthday. If you want me to go on stage and join you and try it out myself, then by all fucking means, I'm more than willing to do that. But if you want to know what I want for my fucking birthday, I want you on fucking stage. He's like, fuck yeah, brother. And then we did it. And very much like David's friend, I was a lot better on stage when I was just riffing. But then once I tried to tell this joke, I can't even remember what the joke was. I just remember it's like, this is funny. I should have came up with something different. But it's so much different than riffing off the cuff is so much different than, having to sit down and write a joke, which I don't think I'm really that good at this point anyway. And we're still at this point. I can come up with good premises. I'm just not great at writing them down and, really getting the fullest. This is something that I hear, that you can hear from other comedians where it's like you try out a joke on an open mic night or something, and then you're like, okay, I was getting them going with this, but then I hit this part, and then, I kind of lost them. So how can I phrase that differently? And then through the little time, you start working on it. until it's a beautiful flower. And then that's when you got a few beautiful flowers in your pocket, and that's when you go out on tour and do your specials. I have not had the chance to plant seeds and grow a beautiful flower myself quite yet, but maybe one day. We'll see. Anyways, I just remember being on stage, and I remember I'd have to watch it again. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'd be able to watch it again. Watching myself do stand-up would probably be a lot like, trying to watch me sing. It's just like, it's weird to watch myself. It's just like, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. But I don't know if you can tell, but my legs, they were like shaking so bad. They were shaking so bad, I was just not feeling it. I'm like, oh God, I'm so scared. Oh my God. Like, I'm kind of surprised I didn't pass out. Not that I've ever passed out before like that, but hey, I made it. And I'm able to say that I've done stand-up before. Whether I did it great or not, that depends on the person. I did half of a good set, and then the rest was kind of bullshit, but, is what it is. But I would like to jump back on that pony. I would really like to do that. Oh, whatever the case. I think I've done enough riffing for tonight. That's all I have to say. Thanks everyone for giving me a listen. I hope you enjoyed. Let me, if you've seen the special, what did you think of it? And, whatever comments you have to say, let me know. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And I hope to see you again. But until next time, I hope you all stay safe. And of course, join down in the rant